I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Dance. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association, Incorporated. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Dance. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association, Incorporated. And we have with us our guest, Sandra Cobb, Resource Development and Community Outreach Manager, and Katie Simon, Social Media Specialist. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. Now, Sandra, you're not new to this.
No,
okay?
no.
Okay. We had the pleasure of having you join us on the podcast not too long ago.
It was so much fun, Marsha, and we really appreciated that opportunity as well as this opportunity. You've allowed us to get a lot of good information out. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you, because now we want all of our viewers, all of our Michigan and Canada viewers, to get a chance to learn more about the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association. So I want you to start off with yourself and tell us what it's about.
Okay, again, I'm Sandra Cobb, Resource Development Manager in Community Outreach. I've been with ARDA for a couple of years now. We are a national nonprofit organization, ARDA. We happen to be headquartered in Michigan here. We exist to help the autoimmune patient and those impacted by autoimmune disease. So our ultimate mission is to eradicate autoimmune disease, and we believe the best way to do that is by initiating and facilitating collaboration in the areas of research, awareness, patient services, and education. So if I may, autoimmune disease, a lot of people ask us that question.
What is it?
What is it? And we get a lot of interesting responses to that people that think they know what autoimmune disease is. It is pretty simple. Our immune system is in us to protect us, right, from viruses and things like the flu when it's working well. Sometimes, though, with autoimmune disease, your immune system can tell something's wrong in your body. But instead of attacking the bad stuff, it turns on itself and it attacks itself. And so it can end up in one or more of over 100 different autoimmune diseases that we know. Okay. We know that up to 50 million Americans are diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Wow. And of those Americans, 75% of them are women. So autoimmune disease, you may not hear about it a lot, but it really is a crisis in the United States. And so ARDA has been in existence for going on 28 years now, later this year, to fight and to advocate on behalf of the autoimmune patient and get awareness out there, do research, again, to service those that are impacted with autoimmune disease.
Wow. Okay, that's wonderful. Now, I know for a fact some people do know what autoimmune diseases are, but some don't. Can you give us a list of a couple of them off the cuff?
Oh, sure. Just a few of them. You have rheumatoid arthritis. People have heard of it, but don't necessarily know it's an autoimmune disease. Vitiligo. Lee Thomas, people are familiar with him. He has, that's the color discoloration.
Discoloration?
Yes. Discoloration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. You have sarcoidosis. Also lupus. A lot of people are familiar with lupus. Again, that's an autoimmune disease. Crohn's, celiac, just to name a few.
Scleroderma?
Scleroderma, absolutely. Yes, autoimmune disease.
Okay. It's a lot of, now is MS under there too?
Yes, it is. Okay. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease.
Citrus bifidobacterial, what's another one? This begins with
Graves, Hashimoto's.
Graves, okay.
Lupus, I think you probably covered that one. It's one of the popular ones. Antiphospholipid syndrome. There's so many. And like Sandra said, there's a lot of confusion like with rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis, type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, psoriasis and eczema. There are ones that are autoimmune and ones that aren't, but are very similar diseases outside of that.
If for one of the resources that we offer at ARDA is that if you go to our website at arda.org, you'll see a listing of all the different autoimmune diseases listed alphabetically and a description of them and some symptoms that might be involved with each of them.
Okay. Well, Katie, I can't leave you out. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at ARDA.
So I've been with ARDA for about 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years now. And I have had a little bit to do with a little bit of everything, helping with grants, helping patient callers and requests, running our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, emails, grant writing, so outreach events, interviews. So just, a little bit of everything.
Okay, so you ladies are well-rounded.
Oh, you have to be a nonprofit.
Okay.
And we are a very small staff, and we do try to do a lot to serve the entire country.
Right,
So we do it all that we can do.
So by being based in Michigan, calls come from all over the United States?
Absolutely, all over the United States, and they come into our office, and we have resources that we send out free on disease-specific information that we give out. Some people are calling, they think they might have an autoimmune disease, but they're not sure. So we triage the calls and send out the best information that we believe that's relevant to what they're experiencing at the time. We get plenty of calls for physician referrals, people who are experts in their area of autoimmune disease in their geographical area. We make referrals like that.
And that's good to know. I mean, a lot of people don't know that once they acquire some health challenges, where to go. I mean, you see your MD, your primary physician, but you have no clue who to go on beyond that to say, are you a specialist in this and specialist in that?
We have physicians' offices calling us because part of what we do is awareness and education, a big part of our mission. And that's not just to the layperson, that's not just to the autoimmune patient, but physicians are still learning about autoimmune disease. What does it look like? Who does it impact? What are some of the symptoms? And we appreciate the partnerships that we have and the physicians and scientists and people that we work with that really are eager to learn more about it so that they can help more people.
That's wonderful. I'll tell you what, ladies, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with some more good information. Get your pens and papers out. You need to write this stuff down. All right, we'll be right back. Everybody needs a helping hand. Take a look at your fellow man. Tell me, what can I do today?
Courtesy. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life.
A box can contain a gift or perhaps a special purchase for the entire family to enjoy. However, a box should never ever be your only shelter from the dangerous winter cold. The Hope Hospitality and Warming Center in Pontiac provides shelter, a warm meal, and fellowship for our guests, because no one should be homeless and freezing in Michigan. Call 248-812-WARM.
And welcome back to the second half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I always tell you, you need to have a pen and piece of paper. Why? Because you need some phone numbers. You may have a family member, you yourself, or even your neighbor may be struggling with an autoimmune disease, and hey, they don't know where to go, who to get help from. In today's show, these ladies are here to give you some information and to provide you phone numbers and websites so that you can call and see if you're on one of your conditions is related to an autoimmune disease. Okay, so Sandra, do you guys have a phone number you can give out to us for our viewers?
Actually, they can call 586-776-3900.
Okay, give it to us again.
586-776-3900.
And website.
Our website, www.aarda.org.
Okay, one more time.
www.aarda.org. arta.org.
Okay, we'll have it at the bottom of the screen, but
Okay.
somebody must didn't see it. Okay, so
Okay, cool.
thank you. Now, a lot of times, like I said, people who watch the show, they hear the message and then they say, that's what my neighbor has. I didn't know. And so they're kind of surprised when they learn that the lady next door has an autoimmune disease. And so, I don't like when people are afraid of another
Right.
individual. If
Right.
you don't want to ask them about their condition, then you can actually look it up and see and learn something about it. Like a lot of people thought or think that vitiligo is contagious, and it's not. And imagine if you're the person with the condition, what goes through your mind, what goes through your heart and everything, and how you have to deal with it. And then when you go into the public or deal with the family, they don't see that you already are suffering.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Being an autoimmune patient it's a journey. It's absolutely a journey. What people need to know, Marcia, is that autoimmune disease can impact absolutely anyone. It does not discriminate at all. You're talking children have autoimmune disease, teenagers, young adults, senior adults, men, women, black, white. It absolutely does not discriminate. So again, 50 million Americans we're talking about. And you probably know more people that have an autoimmune disease or know of someone that has an autoimmune disease than you realize. Part of what we do is in the area of outreach and education. And I mentioned that in our call line, we even get physicians that call us. We do what we call public forums, where we're open to the public, and we do this throughout the states. It's a free event for patients and their family members and supporters and physicians and people in the medical field who want to come and learn about autoimmune disease. We bring in experts in the area, and they come free of their time just to give more information about autoimmune disease, how to cope with it, how to try to get a proper diagnosis, the importance of early diagnosis, just a range of different topics to empower people and educate people, equip people. We do webinars. We did a webinar recently on the doctor-patient relationship. Again, we did one on trying to get how to get the proper diagnosis. So it's education, it's awareness, and it's open to everyone.
That is wonderful. I'm sure after today's show, a lot of people should be calling or contacting you guys through some social media to ask some more questions. It's only right to be able to call and ask a question or email and say, hey, what about this? Or I think I'm going through this.
Right.
Now, do you guys have any components that help the caregivers?
Well, all of our education and outreach as well is for not just the patient, but the caregiver as well. We know from personal experience, having myself a couple years ago being diagnosed with autoimmune disease, you can't face this alone. You do need the support of your family. So we get a lot of calls from family members. We've got tips on how to cope, how to help the family cope with autoimmune disease. We have a newsletter that goes out quarterly to people that will subscribe to it and supporters of ARTA. And we have a lot of great tips there for family members on how to help them help their family members through this. How to help the caregiver, things that...
Well, I look at family members and caregivers as though they're somewhat afraid to talk to the patient or the family member about the condition. And when they do open up, like the small children will say anything, but adults be like, I don't know if I should ask them that, or what's some signs, or how do you feel every day, or can do you feel that? Certain things that people are uncomfortable with asking, but the only way you're going to know is if you just ask. Okay, so, really, it's only, that way. I remember, a lot of people know I'm hearing impaired. I only hear out of my left ear. And I remember my mom asked me one day, she said, can you feel anything in the right ear? I said, if you pinch it, it does hurt. Okay, and she laughed at me. She started laughing about it. She said, well, I just asked. I said, I know, Mom. Because Even my own mother didn't know if I had feeling or not. She knew I didn't have sound, but she didn't know if I had feeling. And and it was so long ago. I just remember that my mother always, every now and then, wanted to ask a question, and I felt like I couldn't be angry, I couldn't get upset or be frustrated. I answered the question. Okay, and I just think it's right if you're not sure about a person's condition that you ask them. Okay, Katie, you're getting ready to say something.
No, I agree as far as don't be afraid to ask. You know, you don't want to be rude or, you know, politically incorrect, but, you know, there's still a way that you can just ask with being, you know, respectful. So
right.
Just ask.
That is the key thing, because sometimes you're going through things. Medication, for example, may have some side effects, and you see physical features that, and you don't look like yourself anymore. And
you look run down.
or you look, you know, you gain weight, like I had done from the prednisone that I was on, or effects on your hair. And sometimes it is great to ask questions, but some people just don't know, right? They have no clue what you're going through, but they may make awkward observations, right? And it would be nice to have that conversation, you know, hey, I noticed, you know, one-on-one maybe.
Well, I mean, if you just want to say, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a personal question? You know, and I just want to know because I don't understand. Okay. So, go ahead, Kate.
And I was going to say, sometimes from the patient's perspective, you don't want to feel like a burden, because you might be feeling run down or have something going on, but you don't want to necessarily share that unless you're asked. That gives you an opening to, you know, have a dialogue with someone.
And that's how it is, you know, stop being afraid, because when a parent has a small child, he or she has to speak for the child. You know, my son has autoimmune disease, and this is what he's going through, and the child can't speak for himself, but as an adult, we don't speak up. Okay, we become, you know, introverted about it, like, well, if you don't know, you don't know, or I'm not going to say anything. But you have to find inclusion somewhere so that you can work amongst other people, socialize amongst other people, and live your life productively, you know, amongst other people. You can't just shut yourself down because you didn't create yourself, you know. So whatever you encounter, it was bestowed upon you for a reason, but you still need to be, as much as possible, you as you.
You know, one of the tips that we share with patients and family members that are going through this journey, while they're on this journey, how important it is to have a team around you that supports you. Family, if possible, friends, whoever, someone that will check in with you, you can check in with. You can have that comfortable conversation to say how you're feeling, why you're feeling. But remember, too, that with the patient, whether it's autoimmune disease or any other disease, usually the patient is learning at the same time, right?
Yes.
So a lot of times we may not, you have questions, we have questions too, you know, and it's okay to have the questions, but we may not always have the answers, Marcia. And it's okay as a patient to say, I don't know what this is. I don't know, let's find out together.
Like you said, it's a journey that you have to sort of discover.
Okay, ladies, well, we're going to take a break on this journey, and we'll be right back with some more important information. We'll be right back.
Until all our daughters are safe. Until all our children have families. Until all our families have homes. Until all our parents are cared for. We'll be here.
Appreciation. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
And welcome back to the last half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I always ask you to always have a pen and piece of paper when you see the Just Ask Talk Show, because some of you like to volunteer your time, or you have questions for our guests, or you have questions that you want to have answered for your neighbor, a family member, or yourself. So please, by all means, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the American Autoimmune Diseases Relationships phone number and their website, and we're going to ask the ladies to say it again anyway. But in the meantime, Katie, I do know that you guys have an upcoming event. So what is that all about? Giving
Yes.
Tuesday?
Giving Tuesday. So we've been doing this for several years now in the slew of Thanksgiving events. Thanksgiving, of course, on Thursday. Then there's Black Friday, Shop Local Saturday, Cyber Monday, and then Giving Tuesday is just sort of a refocusing on the spirit of giving thanks and giving to nonprofit organizations like ourselves. And it kind of fits well with who we try to serve, because Giving Tuesday, it's usually about smaller donations, so you don't need to give a lot, but the collective impact can make a difference. So we know autoimmune disease patients, there are usually a lot of financial obstacles, medication alone, healthcare, and then all the other smaller things. So we realize that, you know, the people we serve might not have a lot of expendable income, but on Giving Tuesday we do ask that you pitch in what you can, and then usually collectively it does make a big impact. We do, past couple years have gotten a substantial amount, so we do try to encourage people to donate to us on that day.
Okay, now how can they donate on Giving Tuesday?
Well, so Giving Tuesday is usually the Tuesday right after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily need to know the date. The Tuesday following Thanksgiving is Giving Tuesday, and our theme is about change, right? As Katie said, you may not have a lot to give financially, but make a change the way that you can. And for us, you know, our focus is it can take up to 2.5 to 3 years for an autoimmune patient to get a diagnosis. We want to change that. Again, we mentioned that 50 million Americans have an autoimmune disease. We want to change that. And not everyone who knows what an autoimmune disease is because of lack of information, lack of awareness. We need to change that. And that's our focus for Giving Tuesday. So you can give.
Your spare change can help us change that.
Wow. Okay.
So
You can donate online.
Okay.
At our website, just go to arta.org and go to our donation page, and you can donate online. You can go old school, like some of us, and write a check if you'd like to write a check. And
or
PayPal.
PayPal even, and send it to our office. Our address is 22101 Gratiot Avenue in East Point, Michigan. You can also text by phone and make a $10 donation. Just
you guys covered the gamut.
Okay. Text to 20222 ARTA. Text ARTA to 20222.
Okay, well, we'll have it all.
Yeah, we'll have it all down there.
Okay, we'll help you out there.
But and there's other ways that people can support us going forward, even beyond Giving Tuesday.
we're very grateful because last year several people started their own Facebook fundraisers for us, specifically for Giving Tuesday. So we do want to encourage people to do that again. And also we've seen an enormous amount of support through people starting Facebook birthday fundraisers for ARTA. And that is one of our biggest social media platforms where we do try to share research information, raise awareness, promote our events, ways you can get involved, tips, our webinars, all sorts of good stuff.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, for those who want to volunteer or just have questions, what should they do?
They could call, if I can expound a little on why you would want to give to ARTA. What you contribute to ARTA helps us to do all the work that we do. It helps us in the area of research. Every year we have a couple scientific meetings that go on where we bring in researchers and physicians, and they talk about research that they're doing. They share information, and the findings eventually get into the medical centers and get to the patients that need it. We do the awareness events, like I mentioned, the public forums that are available for patients and their family members. And we have patient services referrals where people can call us nationally. You know, you may be looking for a doctor, a specialist in your area, and say, I live in this little county, you know, do you have a specialist that can help me? We can pull that up and try and find somebody. You may have questions. I got this diagnosis, but I want to know more about it. Can you send me information? All of that is free to the patient in the world, but it costs us to do it. So the donations that we receive on Giving Tuesday and any other time helps us to continue our mission to fight the fight against autoimmune disease.
Okay, well, we hope to help get the word out about Giving Tuesday. I wanted to also bring to our viewers' attention a brochure that I have. So it says 1 in every American has an autoimmune disease. Now, and I believe that, okay? So those of you who are sitting at home saying, there's nothing wrong with me, it's just a matter of time that something occurs in our lifetime that, you know, changes us around. And it doesn't have to be an autoimmune disease.
Absolutely.
But if it is, this brochure right here is very knowledgeable. And I see that it has way over 12 different autoimmune diseases that, you know, are current. And on the inside, what does it say? More than 100 autoimmune diseases impacted 50 million Americans every day. Of those affected, 75% are women. Okay, so, you know, as a woman, we know that we encounter a lot of things from the time we hit the ground running, mm-hmm. childbirth, you know, family, work and everything. And some things are taking a toll on us and we don't even mm-hmm. know it. Mm-hmm. So I prefer that if we can, ladies and gentlemen, especially ladies, get checked out, you know, mm-hmm. from your physicians early on. You know, don't just look at, oh, I'm worried about breast cancer and colon cancer. It's autoimmune diseases that have some of the same side effects as cancer.
Well, you know, Marcia, too, was also important to have a conversation about. We were talking about talking to one another mm-hmm. earlier, is to know the history of autoimmune disease in your family. Mm-hmm. And you only know that through conversation. And so sometimes when you go to your doctor's office, if you may have been telling him or her about these symptoms that you've had and they've tried several different tests and have come up short. Mm-hmm. The fact that if they know you have autoimmune disease, that may send them in another direction. Mm-hmm. If you have autoimmune disease in your family, that can send them in another direction to get you to a diagnosis and treatment.
Because a lot of times when you go to the doctor and you say, I have this feeling and I'm not sure what it is, mm-hmm. they're looking for something on the surface. And they may have not or known of your family history of anything. So they say, well, we didn't find anything. You actually find some things are just, you know, mental or, you know, passing through you. But if they knew of your family's history, then they can do a little more research to discover something else.
Absolutely. And be your advocate and speak up and say what it is you're experiencing and be willing to share about your family history. We've got webinars and public forums online that talk about all these subject matters, how to have a conversation with your doctor, why it's important to say certain things. Don't let someone dismiss things that you share. Yeah,
That's
so
right. Well,
please check out our website at www.arda.org, and you'll go to our patient referrals or our patient resources, and there's so much out there that's free and available. We just want people to get it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I really appreciate you two ladies coming today, and we look forward to having you back. Will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. I want our viewers to understand that there's some important information out here, and they need to look into it. Mm-hmm. You know, friends, family, neighbors, whatever. Okay. Yes. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, you know who I am. I always tell you, take a look at the website. If you don't see anything you need to know on the website, give us a call, 1-800-323-5336, 1-800-323-5336, and we'll actually get your questions over to the members of American. We'll forward those questions now. So if you have a question for Sandra Cobb or for Katie Simon, any of that events that you see someone you want to know anything about, give us a call or drop me a line at Marcia@Just Ask Talk Show. Well, I'm your host, Marcia Florence for Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you know a person with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask, just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.